Hudson County View, live and uncut. I'm your host, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, the women's pet, the men's regret, but what you see is what you get, and what you don't is better yet. John R. Heinis, and we're talking the latest and greatest in Hudson County news. So there's just so many things happening. But let's start here. Jersey City Ward F Councilman Frank Educational Gilmore rolled out his endorsements for the 2025 June 10th primary. So for sheriff, he's backing Bayonne Mayor Jimmy Davis. At LD 31, he is with the HCDO. That's Assemblyman Will Sampson and Hudson County Commissioner Jerry Walker. And at LD 32, he's going with Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala. And his running mate, that's Katie Brennan, of course, a Jersey City activist. So we're going to tell you about the implications there. Of course, those are some big races on the horizon. And on top of the electoral politics, we have quite a few developments otherwise. For example, a big one out of Jersey City, of course, the August 27, 2023 shooting of Andrew Washington was something that gained national attention. You know, every TV station was talking about this at one point. Finally, yesterday, we heard from the New Jersey Attorney General's office that a state grand jury determined that there's going to be no bill, which means no charges against the officer that actually did the shooting. Of course, this came after Washington was having a mental health crisis and eventually ended up grabbing a knife after the officers breached the door of the apartment. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. We're also going to chat a lot about what's going on in the 32nd Legislative District in Jersey City as well. We have a new Ward B councilwoman in Maureen Hewlings. But before we get to any of that, I'm actually going to be speaking with my councilman, Jersey City Ward D Councilman Yousef Saleh, who's a candidate for State Assembly in the 32nd Legislative District remotely. And we'll be doing that right after we hear this word from our sponsors.
No one plans on heart disease, but everyone should have a plan for it. We help patients of all lifestyles and medical histories plan for healthy hearts. We offer convenient screenings without judgment, hundreds of preventive programs, and women's heart specialists. And we're the largest cardiac surgery program in New Jersey. Make plans for a healthy heart with RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. John R. Heinis. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, today we're talking to my councilman. That's Jersey City Ward D Councilman Yousef Saleh, a Democratic candidate for Assembly in the 32nd Legislative District. Yousef, how are we doing today?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be back on your show. Really appreciate that you invited me here.
You're very welcome. So first, last time we spoke through this platform, through Hudson Media Group, you were announcing your re-election for Ward D, and that was obviously in the fall, and obviously times have changed. So could you just reiterate why you wanted to be on the ballot for Assembly for the June 10th primary?
Listen, I know I started off this journey saying Ward D or death. I feel like that was my mantra. But a lot of people spoke to me and they said, listen, Yousef, you got a skill set, right? You've brought in right to counsel, you've brought in pay transparency, you've been working really hard, you've done all these infrastructure improvements. But what if you could do that with a multiplier effect and a catalytic effect? What if you could go to the state assembly and actually do more for more people? So I was like, I had to think about it. It's a scary endeavor, like go up or go out. And basically, I chose to run with Steve Fulop, who's running for governor, and Jessica Ramirez, the current assemblywoman, because I think that we're going to have an amazing impact down there in Trenton when we win.
All right, fair enough. So obviously, I don't need to tell you, but it's a six-person field, which you almost never see in these primaries. And, you have some other people with name ID. You have Katie Brennan, you have the Hoboken Mayor, Ravi Bala, and of course, you have also Crystal Fonseca, Jenny Poo running with the HCDO. So why do you think that your team deserves the vote of the constituents, of the voters at LD 32?
I think when you look at who's running, you have Jessica Ramirez. She's the current assemblywoman, and she is a lawyer by trade, and she has been down there, and she's actually been passing bills in her time down there. And actually her hand only grows stronger with every election that she wins. So every 2 years there's an election for assembly. So she'll get better committees this time around, but it hasn't stopped her from putting up legislation. When it comes to me, I'm the only candidate on the field that actually went to the Jersey City Public Schools, right? That's one of the biggest issues facing this district is the $400 million plus that they cut from our school district, which raised taxes 34%. So you need someone, who actually knows what's going on with the schools, who has been through them, survived them, and is going to actually be an authentic gladiator in the arena when it comes to fighting for them, okay? Because no one else is going to do it. But I served as president at McNair Academic. I served as president at Rutgers, New Brunswick, and I served as president at Rutgers Law School. I've represented students my whole life. It is one of the most existential things facing not just the school district, but the taxpayers. And they're intertwined, this issue. So.
Fair enough. Now, when we're talking school funding, we've heard from a lot of people in Jersey City and beyond, whether it's Mayor Fulop, State Senator McCurgy, and there's many others. But the point is, school funding obviously has not been something that has been friendly to the Jersey City Public Schools. We're talking at least $500 million at this point, probably anywhere between $250 to $500 million. So with that said, if you do get elected to serve, what could you do to fix this?
Well, essentially, you need people who are going to actually fight down there. I actually interned in the state Senate back in college when I had hair. And the way they used to talk about John Corzine, they said he would blow over like a feather in negotiation. So you need someone who's going to draw a line in the sand. This is our red line. We're not going to vote for a budget that doesn't include more funding for the Jersey City Public Schools. The funding formula has been overturned over 30 times in the past. The funding formula is flawed. The New Jersey State Constitution states that you have to have fair and efficient funding for the public schools, and it's under the taxation clause. So we need to really fight down there and draw that line in the sand, and I'm the one to do it, honestly. I'm there for a good time, not a long time.
All right. And when you're out there, obviously I just discussed a few minutes ago the dynamics of the race. I mean, when you're thinking about what the HCDO is doing and then what Katie and Ravi are doing, I mean, does that change your approach to the race? We're thinking about the Civil War. You try to just kind of have tunnel vision and just focus on you. How do you look at that?
When I'm out there, I just focus on myself. Obviously, it's a 6-person dance, 3-way race, and it's the most competitive primary in the entire state of New Jersey. And I think that having this many people, although it's a little cumbersome, it actually is good to energize folks. When I go out there, I am my most authentic self. And I believe that if you are your most authentic self to people, if they vote for you, they vote for you. If they don't, they don't. That's how you got to play it. Cause life's too short to fake a personality or fake your ideas or who you are. So I have a compelling backstory. I came in during COVID to serve my community. I left corporate America. I have 7 sisters. I'm son of the Heights, loyal son of JC, son of immigrants. So I'm here to represent people, and that's literally what I did. I took this on full time.
Got it. Councilman, don't go anywhere. Folks, don't go anywhere either. We're just going to do a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Hudson County View live and uncut. John R. Heinis, and I'm still here with Jersey City Ward D. Councilman Yousef Saleh, who's a Democratic candidate for State Assembly in LD 32. So, Councilman, another question that I'm hearing from some folks out in Ward D specifically is, what are you going to do if the primary doesn't work out? Are you going to run for D again, or are you going to forego that to pursue private sector work? Any thoughts on that perspective, possibility?
I haven't thought that far ahead, honestly. Like some days I'm like, you know what, if I don't win, I'm gonna run. But that was like in the beginning. I'm at the point now where I'm just like, I'm going all in on this assembly race, and I'm, putting it all out on the field, and we're gonna see what happens. Like, I don't intend to lose. I'm fully into this. Well, that's it. Like, I don't want to have to run again for anything like outside of the assembly. I think that I'm going to make me and Jessica and also Steve Fulop, when he wins the governorship, like we'll be able to bring home the hummus. So I'm like fully like mentally at the point where I'm running for assembly, and I'm not going to think outside of that. Because if I start to think outside of it, I might start to get a little wishy-washy when I'm on the campaign trail, and I don't want to do that.
All right, I understand that. So let's go back to some municipal matters. So
Yeah.
obviously that last council meeting was interesting. A lot of people had a lot of strong feelings about both the flag raising for Israel and Palestine. Obviously, like you were an advocate, a force, if you will, that made sure that the Palestinian flag raising happened. And there was a person who was very pro-Palestine, who ended up getting arrested and removed from chambers. And then in a few hours, we have the Israeli flag raising. So what do you think with all the controversy that's around this topic?
I think it is a huge issue on the global level. And, for my part, I have tried to, represent the Palestinian American people that live in Jersey City. And that's about it. Like, I can't really opine too much about the global conflict, but people who have asked me, they know where I stand on it. I don't hide my feelings. As far as my role as a council person, it really doesn't intersect that much. So I have no influence over this on the global level, but to the degree that I can, I have tried to raise these concerns, whether it's with the flag raising, whether it's with the ceasefire resolution. Like, some people disagree with it, but I'm just looking for peace. I want everyone to live in peace. If you have the mayor, who is the grandson of Holocaust survivors, and you have Jessica Ramirez, who is Puerto Rican American, and you have me, who's Palestinian American, like, this story you can only tell in Jersey City. Like, we're all coming together to serve our community, and that's the beauty of Jersey City. We work together. We try and solve people's problems here locally, and that's what I'm focused on.
All right, and now, so just to be clear, like, regardless of what we saw in the council meeting last week, regardless what's going to happen later today and what will happen on May 16th, you have no regrets in pushing for this flag raising?
No, I think, everyone, the flag raising is, we celebrate everyone's culture and background here in Jersey City. And if we can't, then what kind of city are we? So the Palestinian people deserve to have their flag raising like just everybody else, right? And we did it in 2021, we did it in 2022, so it's not, I don't think it's a big deal.
Fair enough then. So let's say you do win the assembly seat, and then of course there still has to be a Ward D representative. Who do you think has a great chance, or who would you perhaps like to see elect? Or even who would you vote for in the event that you will be the assemblyman-elect?
That's tough. I mean, that's a good question. I don't want to release the cat out of the bag, but we can definitely circle back on June 10th, because I do think there are some competitive people and not so competitive people, right? I think a lot of the newcomers are pretty competitive. So.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. We're almost out of time. So any closing thoughts, Councilman? Anything you want to add?
Listen, it's an honor to serve and to be here for my residents. I came in during the pandemic when everything was closed and no one could see my face and no one could shake my hand and there were no parades, and I've done the work. and I've fully committed myself and my body and left my corporate career to do this. So I'm hoping you elect me on June 10th, the 1 and 2B, and Mayor Fulop, who's running for governor, and Sheriff Shalary.
Councilman, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck. We'll be chatting soon.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We're not done yet. We're just going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Panepinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panepintodevelopment.com. Panepinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hudson County View Live and Uncut, John R. Heinis. So let's talk about some of those things I mentioned during the intro. So first, let's talk about Andrew Washington. Again, this was something that gained national attention. We saw a lot of rallies around City Hall and at City Hall, and also on the south side of the city too. And a lot of people were lobbying for a number of things, including one activist asking for the U.S. attorney to investigate this situation. Now, again, on August 27, 2023, I'm sure all, if not most, if not all, I should say, of you know that Andrew Washington was a man in the throes of a mental health crisis. He suffered from bipolar disorder. His family contacted police after he contacted actually the medical center after he began acting erratically. They contacted police. They contacted the ESU. And long story short, after some attempted negotiations that failed, the officers breached the door. They broke the door. He was hit with a taser, which was not effective, and then another officer, an officer by the name of Stephen Gigante, fatally shot Washington, who at the time had a knife in his hand. So with all that said, the state grand jury heard the evidence. They listened to the 911 call, watched the body dash cam footage, and much more, ballistics, some medical examiner reports. And after reviewing all the evidence, they came back with a no bill. And for those of you folks that follow this closely, that means that there's not going to be any charges filed against Gigante. Not a surprise, given what we saw with the Najee Seabrooks case out of Patterson. There were no charges issued there. And I think most people, especially on the activist level, thought that was a lot more egregious than what happened here. But be that as it may, back to the here and now in Jersey City. Of course, we have some strong reactions. And, there's pending litigation here. The family, specifically Courtney Walker, Andrew's sister, still has a lawsuit against the city and the police department. And I heard from her attorney, that's Amelia Green, and she said, "We are disappointed by the grand jury's decision. We must be clear, however, this is not an exoneration of the officers who killed Andrew Washington. We will prove these officers violated Drew's constitutional rights in multiple ways when they shot and killed him when he was in the midst of a mental health episode. Drew's death is the result of ongoing systemic failures by the Jersey City Police Department and its interactions with those with mental health disabilities. The grand jury's decision only makes the family's civil rights lawsuit all the more important in holding the Jersey City Police Department accountable for Drew's death." So obviously, this isn't the last we heard of it, but as far as any criminality being alleged or being processed via a complaint or indictment, it looks like we're past that part, and now we're just going to see what happens in the civil case. So there's a lot more to do, so we're going to move on to the next thing. Something that just, it's really been ongoing since Sunday, but we've been talking about it on and off since then. But the story this morning, we saw Councilman James Solomon, of course, the downtown representative, Wardee, and Jim McGreevey have been going at it about these MAGA donors, these Trump supporters that have supported McGreevey, the top fundraiser in the mayoral race thus far. And this all started on Sunday when the New York Post reported that McGreevey had gotten donations from over 200 donors who have supported Trump and other MAGA candidates. Now, every declared candidate in the race is a Democrat, including McGreevey himself, which is why Solomon and others have found this to be notable. So just this morning, Solomon said this: "People across Jersey City, New Jersey, and the nation spent Trump's 100th day calling out his maliciousness, but not Jim McGreevey, who was probably too scared to annoy his MAGA donors. Jersey City has already been impacted by Trump, losing $2 million in already approved grants and federal funds. just because Trump and Elon Musk felt like it. In 100 days, Trump has done all he can to tank the economy, destroy our alliances, dismantle civil rights protections, and undermine our democracy, which is why Jersey City deserves better than silence from MAGA Jim McGreevey, as he called him. So, interesting. Solomon's been pretty punchy lately. There was another instance. You guys know that the Attorney General filed this lawsuit, this antitrust lawsuit against RealPage and these 10 major landlords, including some in Jersey City, including LaFrac. And in that instance, Solomon asked McGreevey to give back the $62,600 in light of the lawsuit. McGreevey didn't respond to that. The Post story came out on Sunday, as I said earlier. And now Solomon followed up with a couple more attacks. And finally, last night, McGreevey answered. And he said, "The notion that I am aligned with MAGA Republicans is not only ridiculous, it is a deliberate misrepresentation. After more than 30 years in public service, legislative and executive roles, I have built strong, respectful relationships across party lines. That is not a weakness, it is a strength. As mayor, I will use those relationships to deliver real results for Jersey City, not to sow division." And he actually started to counterpunch a little bit. He said, "Mr. Solomon comes from a family with considerable wealth and owns a multi-million-dollar home. While financial success is not inherently disqualifying, it could create a significant disconnect from the lived experiences of working families, leading to policies that lack urgency, relevance, or impact." So obviously these guys don't like each other very much. A lot of people think these are the two that are going to be in the December runoff. That remains to be seen, obviously, but I think we're going to see a lot more hitting on a lot more topics going forward. So hopefully in the coming weeks, we're going to be able to announce a candidate forum for you guys, but I'm going to keep the rest of that close to the vest until it's official. So with that, let's go over to Hoboken for a moment. And we actually have the first council at large candidate for the nonpartisan November 4th races. So remember, in Hoboken, we've talked a lot about the mayoral. Ravi Bala, of course, not running for mayor again. Instead, he's running at LD 32. And we talked about that, of course, with Councilman Saleh just a few moments ago. But Ruben Ramos, the 4th Ward councilman in the Mile Square City, came out today and said Alfredo Velosi will be his first council at large candidate, and he's actually a rent control board member. So just quickly from Ramos, he said, "We couldn't ask for a better candidate than Al. We're proud to have a rent stabilization advocate on the team. He's seen firsthand the challenges our community faces and has the financial expertise, problem-solving skills, and deep-rooted love for Hoboken to help tackle them. Al is ready to deliver real results for our residents." So remember, while everyone's talking about the mayoral in Hoboken, we have 3 council at-large seats up for grabs, all 3. And we also have a special election for the 6th Ward council seat due to the unfortunate, untimely passing of Jen Giattino in November. So with that, folks, we're going to take one more break. We'll be right back.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Hudson County View live and uncut, John R. Heinis. So let's talk briefly about the Hudson County Sheriff's race. Of course, we have Frank Shalary, the incumbent, a 5-term incumbent, as a matter of fact, looking for a 6th term. And he's running on Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop's ticket, and he's taking on Bayonne Mayor Jimmy Davis, who's with the Hudson County Democratic Organization. So Shalary's a pretty, I would say, private guy in the sense that he's not really the type of person that's going to get in front of a camera and attack people. Like, he's a pretty reserved guy, more of an introverted person, I would say. But that was why it was really interesting when I ran into him over the weekend. He wanted to go on the record and take some shots at Hudson County Executive Craig Guy. And specifically, he had some pretty harsh words, if you ask me. So let's go here. He mentioned that Guy, who's also the HCDO chair, is a retired police lieutenant from Jersey City. And he said he knows the ins and outs of the courts. He knows the ins and outs of police patrols. And we do 7-day, 24-hour patrols. And he was a police lieutenant. And he knows that we need people, and he turned his back on the sheriff's office. Politics has no business in law enforcement, so they're playing politics, not me. We need help. We need to protect the people. We need to protect my officers. They deserve it. So he's contending that the table of organization for the sheriff's office has been stuck at 325 for decades, and it's not moving. You know, there has been 3 commissioners that have been willing to try to move the ball forward, if you will. That's Bill O'Day, Bob Basilis, and Al Safeli. So more on that in a moment. But when I talked to the county executive, he said it's no surprise that an absentee sheriff is now resorting to desperate, misleading attacks to distract from years of fiscal mismanagement. I have consistently supported and accommodated every hiring request and have never denied funding to the sheriff's office. So, obviously they're saying two completely opposite things. I sat down with the county executive yesterday and we had a nice conversation, and we covered a number of topics, including this one. So I'm hoping to get that out later today. Now, also on the sheriff's office, and talking about Chillery and O'Day, they hosted a joint press conference at County Plaza yesterday, 247 Cornelius Ave, to talk about the Arrive Together program, which has been in Bayonne for just under 2 years. And it was announced in Jersey City in October, and it's still in its infancy, kind of in the pilot program stages. But they're working on that. And long story short, this is where officers work with mental health specialists and professionals, similar to what a lot of people from the Washington family were talking about. And this press conference actually just happened a couple hours right before we heard about that grand jury result, which is quite a coincidence. I don't think anybody planned it that way, just the way it happened. But Chillery said in part, I was very honored that they came to me talking about the city of Bayonne. There are a lot of people suffering from mental illness. We have to help the people that can't help themselves. Our officers are also trained in de-escalation. We constantly train our officers under the guidelines of the Attorney General. There's a lot more, but we're going to keep it moving because we're just about out of time here. Some other electoral notes. Jersey City Council President Joyce Reuterman announced her Ward F Council candidate, and it was a council candidate in 2021 as well. That's Vernon Richardson. He was also an aide to Stephen Fulop. He was a distant third place in 21. Obviously, that race was won by Frank Educational Gilmore. He's running again. He has endorsed James Solomon for mayor, and Solomon in turn has endorsed him for re-election. The other candidates in that race are Gloria Walton, who is running on Jim McGreevy's ticket, and Reverend Keith Garvin Howell, who is part of Hudson County Commissioner Bill O'Day's slate. So there's a heck of a lot more stuff that happened. I mean, we could also talk a little bit about Gilmore's endorsements. Again, I think we went over those in brief detail. Unfortunately, don't really have time to say much more. I will add that we have a new Ward B councilwoman in Jersey City. That's Maureen Hewlings. Of course, she was the board chair for the Municipal Utilities Authority. This was very expected. This was on the agenda since the prior Friday, as I first reported. And even though that there was some trepidation among council members, specifically Councilman Gilmore, it ended up coming to a 6-2 vote with only Solomon and Gilmore voting no. With that, folks, we're going to call it a week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.